Alright, so it's about time to get started with the actual recipes now. My first recipe that has been released to the public for, it's probably been 3 or 4 weeks now.
Something like that.
Zucchini bread. In fact, moist zucchini bread. It's the most moist bread you'll ever eat. Once you follow my recipe, if your bread isn't moist, you messed up my recipe. Come on over here, we're going to get started. One of the first things we're going to do is we're going to take 3 zucchinis. I got 4, we only need 3. We're going to take 3 small to medium sized zucchinis and we're going to grate these things up. So take a small bowl here, actually take a medium bowl, and grater here, get going.
How am I supposed to reach all this crap?
There's a ladder over here. The kid's got a ladder over here. There you go. Okay. So the first thing you're going to want to do is you're going to want to cut the ends off of here. You don't want to eat that part. I mean, I guess you could. That's what they use in the cheap zucchini breads that you get at a store, but we're going the high quality route, so we're going to get rid of those. Just cut those off.
I need something to cut them with. I'm good. I think I can use this knife over here.
Alright, you got something ready.
We just cutting the end off? How much am I cutting these?
You already cut the end off. What are you doing? You're not slicing it, you're grating it.
Why are you...
Get out of here.
You told me to cut.
What are you doing with that?
I don't know, eat it. We can use it.
Okay, so here's what you're going to do. You're going to take your zucchini, take about those size holes on your hand grater, and you're just going to go back and forth. Careful not to grind your finger. See how easy that is?
You just grate it.
Yeah, and just rub in those little pieces that are left over. I like to just rub them in there. You might get a little skin in there, but it adds to the flavor. What are you laughing at? Okay, just throw those away. Alright. Here you do it. I'll clean my hand up here. It's all in the technique.
What do you mean it's all in the technique? You just grate it.
Now you gotta get that peeling in there too. That's got most of the flavor.
Which part?
Yeah. And you notice we're not using giant zucchini. Some people grow the giant zucchini. They lose flavor, they get tough. You're not gonna have moist zucchini bread if you go that route. You want your zucchini to be small, maybe 7 to 8 inches long, maybe as much as 12 inches or so. They start getting that big, flavor's not going to be what you're looking for. Alright, you down to a little stub? Yeah, just get rid of that. Okay, here's some more. Yeah, get rid of those chunks. I don't know what those. Okay. Yeah. Okay. So while he's finishing up the job there, I'm gonna get my tablet out here and I'm gonna go to a little website called cooking15.com. Now, I don't know if you can see it here or not, but cooking15.com, this is where my recipes are being stored and released to the public. So you're going to want to hop on the internet and get on there. So here we're on the amazingly moist zucchini bread, recipe number 1. We just follow these instructions here.
Instructions?
Yeah, that's what I said. About done yet? We ain't got all day. What are you doing?
You told me to
You
grate
never
it.
done this before?
What are you talking about? I have a different technique, smaller hands.
Oh, that's got to be enough. Just
No.
what are you doing?
Grating it. You told me to grate it. I'm grating it.
You're gonna lose a finger.
Yeah, well, I already lost half of one.
All right, that's enough. We gotta get going here. We're never gonna get this done. All right. Okay, so as you can see, we got a lot of zucchini here. We're gonna need about 3 cups of grated zucchini. See how moist this is? This is really, if you squeeze it, the water really just comes right out of there. And that's because we're using smaller zucchinis. If you get the big ones, you're just not going to get this kind of result. Now that we got this grated zucchini, I'm going to set this aside. I'm going to make sure my oven is turned on and preheated to 325 degrees. Now that's Fahrenheit, ain't it? I think that's what that F means. So, according to my website, we want to get started. We want to take 2 pans, bread loaf pans. Now, you want to use shiny pans. You're going to see that there's shiny aluminum pans out there. There's pans that are a little bit darker. There's some very dark pans. There's glass pans, and it's overwhelming, I know. And you're thinking, which pan do I use? You want to go for the shiny pans. The shiny pans reflect the light a little more, and so that the light, which has nutrients, gets into your food. With the dark pans, it's just absorbed into the pan. You're not going to get the same flavor. Okay, so I'm going to be showing my little brother here how to properly grease and flour a pan. So here's this pan here.
I got it.
And I'm going to get... What are you doing?
Greasing a pan.
I haven't showed you how to do it yet. Don't start doing anything until I show you how to do it.
I'm pretty sure I know how to grease a pan. I mean, come on.
Oh, you know how to grease a pan, huh?
Yeah.
So what are you going to grease it with? Shortening?
Yeah.
Shortening?
Yeah.
That's what you want to grease your pan with? How's that taste? How's it taste?
Tastes terrible.
Terrible, huh? Well, and that's why we're going to be using butter to grease our pans, not shortening. Here, clean yourself up.
Are you serious? Are you serious, bro?
Quit playing around. Let's get going here. So we're going to use butter. See how I'm greasing this around? Are you going to get ready or what?
Well, you know, I'm trying to get taste out of my mouth right now.
Well, if it was butter, you wouldn't be complaining. Okay. Now, once we got this all buttered up, nice and thick. Get this really thick. Thicker, the more flavor. Okay, and then what you want to do is take your fingers. You got a little bit of butter on there, and make sure you get down into the cracks of the pan, into the corners, all the crevices. Make sure the whole pan is coated at least 3/4 of the way up, but I like to go up a little higher just to be safe. Okay. Now, whew.
Grease the pan.
Now I'm going to use some flour, and you want to use name brand flour. Don't buy your generic store brands. You're just not going to get the same kind of flavor. Just take a little bit, sprinkle it in there. And then what you're going to do is just kind of tap that pan around, turn it sideways. The butter should just absorb the flour, right? You get a nice coat. all around, all the cracks and crevices, down along the bottom, in the corner. Make sure everything's good and covered there. Okay. And I'll just kind of give it a little tap over the sink. Now, think you can handle that? Give it a try. Get greasing that pan.
Yeah, I think I can handle that.
What are you greasing it with?
Butter.
Okay. You're learning something here. Learning a little something about flavor. Okay. And so you're missing some spots. Make sure you get in them corners real good.
Yeah, my hands are smaller.
And you're
It
it looks like you're scraping it with your nails. You might want to bite those things off.
Oh yeah.
Okay. Yeah, rub it all in there. Get it all good and coated. Boy, you're missing a lot of spots.
Will you hold on? I'm gonna get it.
You're scraping it with your nail. Like I said, bite those things off before we do our second recipe.
Bite them.
Alright. Now, you got it?
You want the whole thing covered, right?
Weren't you listening? I said you want to go at least 3/4 of the way up, but I go all the way up.
Yeah, I went all the way up.
Okay, well, you even got it down the sides,
Yeah,
dripping
well.
all over the oven. But hey, that'll just burn and add to the flavor. Okay,
That's the whole point.
put a little flour in there. Okay. Okay. Yeah. Get the sides real good. Didn't you watch how I did the side? Whoa, you're dropping it all over the place.
Or you can just pick it up and throw it in there.
No, you can't do that.
Why not?
Give me that thing. Do it myself.
Or you tap
I
it.
need my recipes to get... Why is the whole outside of the pan's all greasy?
Yeah, because my butter hands, you know.
Alright. Tap over the sink. And we're going to have to clean the outside of this thing off.
You got butter.
I don't know what you've done. Alright. We're going to need a new towel. This one's shot. Yeah, I'll just squeeze it out. Okay. Alright, so now that we got our pans greased and floured, we can go ahead and just put these to the side. We're going to work on the rest of the recipe here. Now, you're going to want to start with a large bowl. Again, we're going to use a shiny bowl. This is a nice large bowl. Okay. Get on up here. Let's go. And again, I got cooking15.com. That's where you're going to get your recipes. Or just watch them once we get them on YouTube. So, what's it say here? Can you read? Greased our pans liberally.
Yeah.
Got it real good? Okay. So, oh, it actually wants us to start with a medium bowl. We can do that too. Or you can start with a large bowl. Do it however you want. But if you start with the medium bowl...
Shouldn't you know your own recipes?
Shut up. Now, the medium bowl, what's it say here? Yeah, I don't know if I'd do it that way. Did you edit this before you published it?
Yeah, I corrected a lot of your mistakes.
Okay, so let's start with our flour. You see how much flour? It says 3 cups of flour. Yeah. I like to take a little knife and use it to kind of make sure that cup's level. You don't want too much. You don't want too short. You want it to be level, and so use a knife.
Watch the knife.
What are you laughing about? I hope you're watching, because you got to do the next two. We need 3 cups of flour there. So I put 1 in. How many's left?
7.
Okay.
What's with the flour cup with half a handle?
I'm getting a little worried my recipes aren't going to get passed down. You can't follow instructions here. Okay.
Well, I mean, you got a flour
Throw it
cup
in there.
half a handle. You can't. Told me throw it in there.
Okay. 1 more. Now I'll go ahead and read ahead here, and what's it say? We're going to put baking soda, baking powder, kosher salt, and all our seasonings. Basically, most of our dry ingredients here, except our sugars and stuff. Alright. Wonder what's in there. Alright. You got it now? 3 cups of flour.
Yeah.
So, baking soda. We need 1 teaspoon. 1 teaspoon baking soda. Again, name brand baking sodas here. Don't go using any generic stuff. Won't work. Nice level teaspoon baking soda. Baking powder. Again, 1 teaspoon of a name brand premium baking powder. Another thing you want to know about these baking powders and baking sodas, keep an eye on your date. These do expire and they quit working. 1 teaspoon. There we go. Kosher salt. What's it say here? 1.5 teaspoons. Now some of you might say, wait a second here. That's a lot of salt. Well, it's the salt that helps add the flavor. And the thing is, you only want to use kosher salt. To use anything else just wouldn't be kosher. Now, when you're using kosher salt, you actually need to use a little bit more salt. So if a normal recipe might call for 1 teaspoon, you're going to be putting about 1.5 teaspoons in. So we're going to put 1 teaspoon, nice level teaspoon of salt. And if you look at that, I don't have 1/2 teaspoon. So 2/4 teaspoon almost equal 1 teaspoon. So that'll be close enough. So we're going to take a whisk here. Here, you can do that. Take the whisk and stir this around real good. You want to make sure you get all that mixed around. Now, as far as our seasonings go, again, name brand seasonings. You can buy generic seasonings, but I'm telling you what's going to happen. You're going to get these name brand seasonings, and they're not going to have quite the same flavor. So here we got 1 teaspoon of allspice. Put that in there. 1 teaspoon of allspice. Mix that around.
Oh, I got it.
Now, you're going to need 1 teaspoon of Chinese ginger.
Chinese ginger?
Yeah. Now, again, name brand, you can get regular ginger, but the Chinese ginger is the way to go.
Ginger, right?
Yeah, Chinese. Be careful, this stuff's powerful, especially the Chinese kind, so don't put too much of that in there. A nice level teaspoon. And now here's where things get crazy. Nice name brand Saigon cinnamon. Some ground Saigon cinnamon. If you start with the sticks, you're going to have to ground them up. You can't put those in there. But we're going to actually go for, it might seem like a lot, but you got to trust me on this one. We're going to go for 3 teaspoons Saigon cinnamon. We're actually using an organic name brand here. The organic, it's made from the organs of the cinnamon plant, which pack a little more flavor. Okay, 1, 2. That's about 3. Okay, now what you should have here is you went from having a white flour, all-purpose flour, and now it's got kind of a brownish color to it. It's got all the seasonings in there.
Yeah.
Once you got that mixed real good, here, we'll go ahead and I'm gonna put that aside. Now let's move on to the large bowl here. So what are we putting in our large bowl? In our large bowl, we're going to scramble our eggs first. And how many eggs we got? Cooking15.com. How many eggs? 3 eggs. Farm fresh eggs. You don't want to use store brand eggs. One of the things you'll notice with the cheap eggs, you crack them open, the whites are real runny. You want to use a good farm fresh egg. And we're going to use 3 of them here. Put them in there. Okay. Let's crack it. Don't get any of the shell in there. You're getting it all over the outside. You got to be a little more careful there. Okay. Now save these eggs. These are good. You can feed these back to your chickens. I'll put them in the junk bin. You feed those back to your chickens and it'll put the calcium back into their diet. Okay. There we go. 3 eggs. Now, I want to kind of scramble those up a little bit in there. Scramble your eggs a little. Okay. That's good. That's good. Alright. Now we're going to put our oil. Now we're using some name brand vegetable oil or canola oil if you want. It doesn't matter. They're the same color. It tastes the same. We're going to put 1 cup, right? 1 cup of vegetable oil or canola oil. 1 nice level cup. Okay. Get some of this stuff out of our way here. Get another measuring cup here. Again, 1 cup. We're going to use 1 cup of white sugar. Just regular old sugar. Name brand, of course. Get out of my way. Okay, we'll put a nice level cup of sugar. Alright. Put that in there. We're also going to want to put a cup of some name brand brown sugar. Now you can go for the dark sugar, the dark brown sugar, or the light brown. I think with this recipe it's best to go with the light brown sugar. So we're going to go with the light brown sugar. And you want to make sure you pack it really tight in there. You want to have a nice, tight, packed, level cup of sugar. Yeah, I got it pretty tight in there, didn't I?
Yeah, that's pretty tight.
Alright. Now hold on now. We're going to have to switch over to a mixer here. Where's old reliable?
You got a mixer right here?
Yeah, I got it right here. Just get it ready for you.
What the heck is that?
It's a mixer.
What, like the 40s?
It's a General Electric model. General Electric. This actually, there's a dial on top. We've got 9 speeds. This is old reliable here. I've had it a few years.
A few.
Yeah. We're just going here. I'm going to just start out.
I think older than both of us.
Whoa, I don't know where it's going. Okay, it looks like we're on 5, so about half the speed, halfway. I'm going to crank it up. You might as well max it out. Okay.
What's that smell?
Is that something in the oven?
What's that smell? It smells like something burning.
It smells like electronics. There must be something still in the oven.
I'm pretty sure it's that.
You mix this up.
This thing's hot!
It's supposed to be like that.
Are you serious?
They don't make them like they used to.
Mix it all around. Try to get all them lumps out of there. I'm pretty sure the smell's coming from this.
Now, let's throw a little vanilla extract in there. Oh, here we go. Again, we're going for name brand vanilla extract. Now, some people might be tempted to go for the imitation. You're not going to get that down-home flavor unless you pour a whole bottle in there. But then that's going to make your recipe very watery, so we're going to get rid of that. So it calls for 3 teaspoons of vanilla extract. A lot of people would just use 2. We're going for flavor here.
Alright, 3. Yeah. Burning my hand in the process. Alright. Turn that off a minute. How do you turn this off? Just turn it off. Turn it off. You're splashing stuff all over the place. Where's it off? Is it off? Okay. Let's hang on to that for a minute. So now what we want to do here is we want to move on to our dry mix. Now don't dump it all in there at once. Just maybe start out with a third, get it kind of mixed around, add another third until finally everything's in there. We're going to start here. You might want to take it slow at first, otherwise you're going to spray the flour all over the place. Make sure you get the sides real good. You definitely want to get the sides real good. I'm going to go ahead and put another third in there. You're supposed to start saying how good it smells. You're supposed to start getting excited. Okay. Where's your hat, Robert? Okay, it's getting a little hard to mix now, so I'm going to turn it up on 10. It's starting to actually smell good. I can still smell the burning from that. It's something in the oven. No, it's not in the oven. Now you'll notice here, what's going on here? Yeah, I got a blender from like the 40s. What is it doing? It's probably dying. It can't handle it. Oh, come on, old reliable. Keep going there. Keep going. Come on. Yeah, I think the thing's hit its life cycle finally. Oh no. Cable came out. Oh, is that what it is? Just put that back in there. What's going on here? Old reliable is not so reliable. Oh, there we go. Crank it up again. Yeah, we're back in business. Okay, now you'll notice you're going to be a little confused because this mixture is really thick, and you're thinking, this doesn't make sense. This isn't like any other recipe I've made before. Well, once we add our zucchini in there, you're going to see it kind of get a little more watery. So now let's go ahead, and our recipe calls for, boy, that's some wet zucchini. 3 full cups, nice packed cups of zucchini, which you'll find if you use 3 medium-sized zucchinis, it should get you there. You may have just a little bit extra left over, as we do here. Let's see, we've got a little extra. We're going to just go ahead and put that in there. You really can't have too much, as long as it's good moist zucchini. We're just going to kind of fold that in with a spatula. Go ahead and fold that in there. What are you doing?
Told me to put it in there.
You have to get down to the bottom there.
Well, I will.
Mix it all around.
Just making sure it's in there. Stuff stick.
Get out of my way.
Stuff stick.
You're never going to get this done. Yeah, we'll mix this around. Try to get the edges a little bit. You might have a little flour left over on the edge. Just get that off of there. Once you got all your zucchini mixed in there real good, you can see it kind of lightened up here a little bit. Alright. I like to take a... It would be helpful to have a knife here. So you can kind of scrape that spatula a little bit. And make sure we get everything in our pan when it's time.
Okay, so I want to take a couple minutes here to talk about nuts. This recipe calls for optional nuts. A lot of people like to put walnuts or pecans or, pistachios, almonds, whatever. They like to put crunched up nuts in a banana bread, in a zucchini bread, something like this. But this recipe is specifically moist, amazingly moist zucchini bread. And so if you're trying to make moist bread, why would you put something hard and crunchy like nuts into your bread? That really doesn't make any sense. So as you can see, they're really not an option. So we're going to go ahead and get rid of it.
We're going to grab our two pans here. And we're going to want to make sure we're going to divide the dough in about half and put about half into each pan. Yeah. Okay. Put the other one. Let's put that in there. I like to get just to where there's a little bit left over. A little bit left in here. And now I can kind of analyze. I got two pans, and I can say, okay, which one has a little less than the other? And not surprisingly, it looks like they both are dead even. Exactly the same amount. Now, you're probably not going to get those kind of results. I do every time. So I'm going to go ahead and I'm going to put an extra spatula into each pan. And a little half spatula there, a little half spatula there. Okay. Scrape a little in there. Okay. They're going to have a tendency to want to mound in the middle. And what's going to happen is you're going to have less on the outside. It's going to get more done on the outside, less done in the middle. You want to try to get it as uniform as possible.
Okay, so now what we're going to do is we're going to put our two loaves into the oven. This recipe calls for 50 minutes to an hour approximately. Now you want to be very careful. Let me just put this in here. Okay, now you want to be careful. You don't want to overdo it. Leaving the bread in too long, just 2 minutes too long, will produce dry bread. It's not going to be moist. So once you get familiar with your oven, you're going to know how long it's going to take. Mine takes about 50 to 52 minutes. So I'm going to come at about 47 to 48 minutes, and I'm going to check on it. You just want to be able to take a knife or a fork or a toothpick and insert it in there. You want it to come out slightly wet, but you don't want to have a lot of dough coming out. It'll take some practice, but Once you get it down, it'll be the most moistest bread you've ever eaten. So now, we're back to check on the bread, and I can't stress enough, it's going to take practice, it's going to take some time getting used to your oven and how long it takes. Your oven might take 50 minutes, it might take 56 minutes, you're just going to have to figure that out. And always make a habit of checking it a couple minutes early just to make sure. Now once the bread comes out, we're going to let the bread cool for 10 minutes before removing it from the pan. Now once you've mastered this recipe, you're going to want to get down in the comments below. Tell us how it went for you. You know, what kind of cooking techniques, what kind of kitchen setup did you have? What worked, what didn't work? If there's something you need help on, ask away. We're here to help. Visit our website, cooking15.com. Be sure to subscribe to our YouTube channel. We'll be posting more videos as we get them done. Follow us on Facebook. Follow us on Twitter. Follow us pretty much everywhere.
Be sure to like and subscribe.
Yeah, whatever he said. So it has now been about 55 minutes, and I can see here that things have really started to firm up, although I can tell it's still going to be a little wet. See how a little bit of dough is coming out in the center, but out on the edges it's pretty dry. We're going to actually give this a little more time. I'm gonna do 2 more minutes. Okay, so I've got my 2 zucchini breads here, and I've let them cool now for about 10 minutes. Now I'm gonna do is kind of check, take a knife and just kind of feel along the edge, loosen it up a little bit. These are so moist, so soft, they're gonna want to crumble. They're gonna want to, if they stick the slightest bit, they're going to want to give you trouble coming out of there. So we're going to take our pans here. Let's move one out of the way. We're just going to kind of tap it, loosen it up. That's all it should take right there. And this thing really should just kind of fall right out into your hand. Now, I've had people tell me, well, you can't use butter, you got to use shortening, you got to use oil, you got to use this, you got to use that. You just saw me use butter. You're going to have better flavor. As you can see, it came out very easily. So we're going to push this to the side here. And we're going to let that one cool for another about 5 minutes. I'm going to do the same thing here, tap this one. I think this is the one my brother did. But even though he did a sloppy job, look at that bread just fall right out of there. So again, we're going to let these cool for about another 5 to 10 minutes, but we definitely want to start eating these things while they're warm. While they're warm, we're going to slice, we're going to put some butter on there. It's going to be delicious. Once it gets cold, you might as well throw it away. I only eat my bread hot. Alright, so now that I've let my bread cool for another 5 minutes or so, I'm going to take a bread knife here. Now you're going to want to just chop into this, get cutting, smashing. You got to be careful. This is very soft, very moist, very delicate bread. So what we're going to want to do is we're going to want to, I like to start in the middle because that's where the flavor's the best. And just kind of saw your way in there and carefully saw this bread. Now look at that. Look at that steam come out of there. Can you see that steam comes right out of there? The bread is very soft, very moist. This is exactly the kind of results you're looking for. Now, depending on how early you get this bread out of the oven, this little area right in here may still be a little gooey. That's okay. I'd rather have a little bit of gooey rawness in the center here than have the entire outside overly cooked. So what we're going to do here is we're going to take our butter. I'm going to put some butter and melt that around on this while it's really hot. You got to be careful. You see how easily it's falling apart because it's so moist. It's definitely the most moistest bread you'll ever eat. And I'm gonna go ahead and cut this in half and put it on a plate. Get a little plate out of here, and we'll let my brother try this and see what he thinks. In fact, I'm gonna go ahead and get me a slice as well. That on there, let it melt around. Man, that's soft. I don't know if you can see how soft this is. Whew. That smells good right there. Let me show you that bread. See how moist that bread is? Can you see how moist it is?
That's good.
Alright, there you have it. Man, that's moist.
This might be the best bread we've made.
We?
Yeah, we.
Subscribe to us on YouTube. Follow us on Facebook. Follow us on Twitter.